This is Paula Jarvis, and I'm going to share with you the Consider My Top 5. It's a brief overview of my top 5 considerations as a visual art teacher K through 5 on online, hybrid, or blended settings. All right, first of all, to understand my environment, you need to know that I am actually an experienced music teacher, mostly K through 8. But the last 16 months, I have been teaching K through 5 art at Baldwin Elementary. 9 of those months have been taught completely online. Now, Baldwin Community Schools is the only school in the county of Lake County, which is one of the top poverty counties and super, super rural. The parent engagement is low and limited. Currently, all of our students have one-on-one Chromebooks, but the internet in our county is not secure even when they do have Wi-Fi devices from the school. Also understand that I only have 13 general classrooms, but all of those students come to me only one time a week for 45 minutes. My virtual art program is adequately funded, and I get great support from my administrators. The first element that I find as a priority wasn't talked about so much in our readings, but equitable access is a huge thing in my world. This goes for 2 different areas. First, student devices need to be reliable, and the cameras need to work, the audio issues that they come up with every now and then, but also reliable internet for all of my families and support that can help some of my younger students interact online. The art supply issue is something completely different and I think unique to my setting. If I want students to do the same thing at home in a hybrid situation, getting them the materials to make and create the hands-on art is a challenge. And when all students were online, I did find that I had these challenges with responsibility, of how they took care of those materials and how I packaged 230 different sets of art supplies and how did they get picked up or delivered. So my aspiration in the future is to have a blended classroom. Would love to do that. And for that, I really would like a set of iPads. So equitable access between in-classroom and online, some of the things that are the same, student access to the devices is now happening in the homerooms, but it's not coming to my art class and certainly not my younger grades. In my art room, traditionally, technology is a part of my standards, but most of the time, my limited time, the emphasis is spent with hands-on art making experiences. But the materials used for these are commonly kept in the school. So sharing those with individuals outside of the classroom would be a divergence from a traditional setting. If you would like to develop these strategies for equitable access, look to the leader and the collaborator domains. We're talking about prioritizing that equitable access, being a leader to help get those students the opportunity to use the technology that's at our fingertips, and also collaborate with the tech access and the art materials. You need to collaborate with the family, school personnel, the community at large, taking into consideration the cultural, having empathy for the cultural setting, and making collaborative decisions for what's in the best interest of the students. The second area has to do with student technical skills and knowledge. Over the past year, what I've found out is that if you don't know how to use your technology, then you can't use it as a tool for learning art. With 13 different homeroom teachers, we have 13 different approaches and sets of strategies for how students interact online. Because we got put on remote so quickly and we were all building the plane as we flew it, everybody went with their strengths and what was comfortable for them. And if I have to take my time to teach those technology skills, then I don't have time to teach the content. A couple solutions in the bullets here are to work with you can work with your school and your colleagues to establish a standard set of online tools and skills that every student in the school knows. And then also maybe providing a tech camp at the beginning of a semester so students and their families who are helping them at home can spend like a half a day going from session to session to learn how to use these essential standard skills that we've established as a group. How does this differ? Just as in traditional settings, you've got to teach routines, expectations, and your skills if you're going to accomplish any of your lesson objectives. Technology does add that next layer of student learning routines, but it diverges from the traditional methods by opening up a more one-on-one communication. I found that remotely, I had more time to interact and help train students and parents one-on-one when we were remote. When you want to develop your strategies, look to the leader, the citizenship, and the facilitator. These domains are going to help you advocate, work with others, and then, working for the others in the culture and promoting that digital literacy and media fluency. Also facilitating, making sure this is all going to happen, that you can help people explore and apply the pedagogical approaches that are made possible by using technology. You can foster an environment where students will take charge of their own learning. The third area, relationships and collaboration. And I know a lot of people keep these two separate, but in my world, collaboration is such a big part of relationship building. I've combined the two. Collaboration in and of itself, it needs different strategies online if you're going to collaborate, because it's super easy to do one-on-one in a school or in an in-classroom setting. The tech tools that you're using online, they can simulate a lot of the strategies you're using in your classroom, and that my art requires a real-world connection. That's in my standards, and collaboration is part of that real-world skill set. Also, confidence is a key to successful art. A student who's not confident is not going to produce quality art. And you've got to trust in order to be confident in my room, and relationships are the keys to that trust. Student and teacher relationships, the foundation of any mastery of learning. If they don't trust what I'm teaching them, then they're not going to put themselves in that next spot. And peer-to-peer relationships, well, that's the foundation of mastering life. Ooh. In a traditional setting, student interaction is so easy, and it's just organically facilitated. But to create these interactions online, you've got to have structure, you've got to practice it in routines, and you need some different strategies for your younger learners. To do collaborative art projects are challenging in a classroom. I can't even imagine how to make that happen in an online format. But relationships that are built online sometimes are more focused without that constant multitasking of a classroom instruction. You get a little more time to one-on-one pay attention and build that relationship with students. And how do you develop these strategies? It's all about collaboration, right? You need to collaborate and co-learn with your students using the tools that help reflect on your lesson design effectiveness, as well as building your personal relationships. You've got to give them ownership, and that will be motivation to master their content. The next most important, number 4, is consistency. When you're delivering content to all K through 5, you've got to have some design templates that are going to be the same every week, with how you share your content, how you facilitate your discussion and provide assessment opportunities, small chunks of lessons, and how that looks. And when you consistency will build that student confidence, so because they know what to expect every week, and they can be prepared to learn and prepared to deliver the assessment and the product. This one is a foundation to any successful classroom, be it in person or online. You've got to be consistent. And really the only divergent for online practices is the extension of how the information is delivered. Not necessarily that, but how the students learn to interact with it and then share back with some quality work. Using your collaborator, designer, and analyst skills, that's going to be how you develop your strategies to build consistency. The final area is student motivation. And as in all subjects, encouraging students to perform at high levels while online takes extra motivation. I think a blended classroom allows the technology to be an extra motivator when you're offering online options to project making and learning targets. And ultimately, I think we need to create lessons that just excite, interest, and inspire students to create and talk about art. Motivation's the same. It's the key to success, whether you're online or in person. And when you add technology, you actually diverge a little bit because you have more ways. You have a lot of novel ways to interact and motivate students to be a part of a lesson and making sure that it doesn't distract or take away from the content. But also adding that tech option in a blended setting is going to give you that extra layer of motivation for those students that prefer digital learning. Hit a lot of ITSE standards on this. If you want to develop your strategies to motivate students, be a learner. Learn from the others in your field. It's important to be a good citizen because much of student motivation is from this citizenship. In fact, educators inspire students to positively contribute to and responsibly participate in the digital world. That's it right there. Be a collaborator. Work with your students, find their point of view, their values, their cultures, reflecting on resources and their learning experiences to build motivation. Design authentic and personalized experiences and give the students some ownership. Facilitate that way that they can create and communicate artistic ideas using their technology. I utilize these resources, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to read through these and build my own philosophy on my top 5 elements for online learning.